What is it, week 3?
Yeah, it is week 3. Welcome back, everybody. The Neutral Zone.
Oh, you really? This motherfucker just went live?
Yeah, we really live. The Neutral
Damn.
Zone College Football Week 3 preview, episode 36 of our live series. I know last week we had previously said it was the most dead week in college football. I lied. That is this week. There are really no games. I mean, there's a few like sleeper games. Obviously, today you have the Arizona-Kansas State game, which I'm excited for. I have a bet actually in that game that I need Arizona to win by 3. I mean, I need Kansas to beat UNLV by 3, and I win $300. So hopefully that one cashes for me. We have the Florida versus Texas A&M game, which Brandon Harlow is going to that game. He just bought his ticket, so he's going to that one.
Up.
That'll be a good game.
Wait a minute. Where's that game at?
Gainesville.
Shut up. Harlow's coming around the way. Gainesville's only about an hour. I mean, I'm not at home, but Gainesville only about an hour from me.
Yeah. Oh, there he goes right there.
Already in here or in Gainesville?
Yeah, no, he's not in Gainesville. He's at work. But yeah, he's saying he's already in here. You have the LSU South Carolina game, which would be decent. Alabama Wisconsin might be good. Yeah, depending on what Alabama team shows up. You have Florida State Memphis, based on what Florida State's looking like. That game's probably gonna be competitive. And then Boston College, Missouri. Don't know how I feel about that one. The Apple Cup, the Civil War. That's pretty much it. There's no really
only ranked on ranked game we have this week is that Kansas State, Arizona.
Boston College, Mizzou as well.
Oh, I forgot Boston College because you beat Florida State and all of a sudden you're ranked now.
UCF,
if you guys don't know, I'm on travel, so I'm actually on the road out here on the West Coast. Came out here for a work event out in the same city as Steven's younger brother and my son. So yeah, that's why my background obviously doesn't look like normal. I still, trying to look as cute as ever, but it doesn't look like normal because I am on the road.
That reminds me, I wonder where that one person went. Oh, that person you trying to buy the jersey from? Remember? And she was like commenting on our page or something.
Oh, that you tried to say was me?
You know what's crazy? That was 100% a guy.
Why do you say it's a guy?
What? Okay, think about it. What kind? If you saw the profile, it was a person that looked like they were from Japan. Only had like two pictures.
I'm not trying to be funny. I think it was like a Chinese lady who sells jerseys, like from the factory or whatever.
The thing is, I don't think it was a real, like that person that was in the picture was not a real person. You could tell like the picture was like just grabbed off of Google because there was no other picture.
I told you I didn't know the person, but it wasn't me. And that motherfucker gonna do research on got in his detective bag. I'm like, it's not me. I'm not. Oh, that gotta be you. It's not me. I'm not posting that.
But yeah, we have TCU, UCF this week, and that's pretty much it. So it's probably gonna be a quicker show. I have the young one over here on taking a nap. So when he wakes up, we may have to pause the show for a few minutes while I get him situated.
It is what it is. Well, let's get the big games out the way quick.
So obviously today, Arizona, Kansas State. How do you feel about that game?
It should be a good game. I think Arizona against the team, they can put up a little bit of resistance. Obviously 2-0. We know about Fafita. We know about McMillan. Are you good?
I'm good. Just making sure
he's looking over there. Huh?
Making sure
we know about Fafita. We know about McMillan. But I want to see them against a team that can actually give them some resistance. Giddens, Avery Johnson on Kansas State have both looked really good so far this season. They're actually the higher ranked team going into this game. And this game is at Kansas State. So my early prediction is I think Arizona's had a real tough time on defense. Bro, are you good, bro?
Yeah, keep going, bro.
But Arizona's had a really tough time on defense. I'm going to pick Kansas State, especially with this game being right.
I'm not gonna lie. Buddy is moving over there right now. You good? You good? Did you mute yourself? I can't hear you. You muted yourself, you retard. This dude is crazy, bro. This man unplug his mic. Let me get my take on it. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I did accidentally press the mute button. But yeah, I'm going to pick Kansas State in this game. I think Arizona has had a tough time on defense. They've looked good on offense, but they've had a really tough time slowing down other teams. So like I said, Giddens, Johnson, I think Kansas State is going to be able to win this game in a shootout. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. So if you have an opportunity, tune in. But yeah, I'm picking Kansas State. What about you?
I have Arizona win this game. Obviously, their defense has looked pretty bad throughout the year so far. But I think their offense is going to come to play. I think the fact that this game is on a Friday and this is the highlight of college football, they know that all the eyes are going to be on this game. I think Fafita and McMillan are going to put on a show. They're a 7-point underdog right now. I don't know why the line is that much. I feel like it's a little disrespectful, but I like Arizona in this game. I do think Fafita and McMillan are going to be too much. Now, defensively, obviously, they need to be a lot better because they haven't looked good in the previous 2 games. So I think it's going to be a track meet. The over is at 61. I'd be very surprised if it's anywhere close to that. I think it's going to be 70, 80 points total in this game. Just because we've seen Arizona put up.
Shit, I might bet that.
Yeah, it's just
Sterling and Sterling. What betting sites can you use in California?
You can't use anything. You can only use Prize Picks.
Prize Picks? I don't have it.
And it's not even actual like betting. It's not even that. Kansas, Arizona. Kansas, UNLV. I don't really care about that game. I have Kansas winning that game. That one's today as well. But tomorrow, obviously, Alabama at Wisconsin. Alabama didn't look great against USF early. They pulled away late. I think this game is going to be decent, but I actually think Alabama is going to kind of have the same type of energy they had in the fourth quarter to start the game off this time around. They're a 17-point favorite. I think they're going to cover that.
I got 16.5. I think that's kind of crazy. I think Alabama wins, but I think it's especially the way Wisconsin plays. They're going to slow the game down. They're going to grind it out. Are you good?
Well, I'm just making sure he's good.
They're going to slow the game down. They're going to grind it out. So I think. What are you laughing at?
Because you're being stupid, bro. Come on.
Because you keep every fight to.
Well, yeah, I got to make sure he's not waking up.
But so I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think Alabama's going to win. They're going to dominate it. But I think Wisconsin is going to really try to grind this game to a screeching halt. To make this game to control possessions and control the time of possession. So I do have Alabama winning. I don't feel that I'd bet Alabama plus 17.
What about the LSU South Carolina game?
Yeah, so it's funny because I think South Carolina has a lot of talent. They have a lot of players. And LSU, I don't think that we've really seen them look like a top 15 team yet. Obviously, they lost the USC game, as we all know. They won a game against, I don't know, Ellie Monroe or somebody like that. So I think this is an opportunity for them to show that, hey, they're a little bit better than their first outing and a team that can make some noise in the SEC. I think South Carolina has all the tools, but I would pick LSU in this game.
Yeah, I think LSU is going to blow them out. I don't think this game's going to be close. South Carolina almost lost to ODU in week 1. So I don't picture this game being very close. I don't think Sellers.
Well, you ain't seen Nick Harbers, the college football 25 legend?
What did he do in real life?
I don't know what he did in real life, but I know
I watched against ODU, and he out there looking like I was going to say something crazy. I'll tell you off air. But he did not look great. Just remind me so I can tell you off air because it's gonna be funny. But yeah, he didn't do much against ODU. I don't think he was even in the game until late in the game. I understand he's a freshman, but with the hype that he had in the offseason, I'm surprised because it's not like they have a bunch of talent. He's not like a guy like Perry Thompson or Cam Coleman, where it's it's an SEC deep wide receiver room, or Jeremiah Smith, where it's a deep wide receiver room. But you are at South Carolina. They're not known for receivers. Last receiver they had was Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, to this point, their top receiver, Bennett, has 81 yards receiving
in 2 games.
Yeah. So 40 yards a game is your top receiver.
Yeah. So I think LSU is gonna. I think 6 points is a layup. I think they're gonna beat them by way more than 6 points, even with being on the road. I understand playing on the road in South Carolina can be tough, but I think LSU it's just gonna be too physical for them. I don't think Sellers is a good enough quarterback to beat a team like LSU.
And those players look good. Even though obviously they have the loss, over 300 yards per game, 4 touchdowns a game. He's looked really good.
The next game, Michigan, Arkansas State. I understand Michigan lost big to Texas, but I don't know why they're only a 22-point favorite in this game. I think they're going to beat them way, way worse than 22 points, especially at home. I know I said the same thing last week, but this is Arkansas State. This is not Texas.
Right.
So I do think this game is going to be a blowout as well. I think the team looks a lot better. But again, this team is who I thought they were. I don't think they're that great.
Yeah, they're going to grind Arkansas State to submission. Again, they're going to have a tough time. So much turnover in Michigan, and kudos to that senior class from last year that stayed for so long to capture that national championship. But obviously, they're facing the ramifications of that this year. Not sure what they're going to do at quarterback. I don't think that Davis Warren is a top-tier quarterback, a guy who should be the starting quarterback at Michigan, but I don't think it's going to matter against Arkansas State. I think they're going to be able to they're going to be able to beat Arkansas State pretty handily, especially coming off of that Texas loss. I think it's still Davis Warren. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't start seeing more and more packages for Orji. But I think they're sticking with Davis Warren. But yeah, I think this is one of those games where they're going to really try to grind this team and beat up on this team that, again, just can't match their physicality, can't match their talent.
How do you feel about the Boston College Missouri game? The only other ranked matchup outside of the Arizona Kansas State one.
So I'll be honest, I think Boston College is getting a lot of love for the Florida State win, which again for Boston College is a big win. But I don't think Boston College is as good as now being a ranked team because you beat what you've said from the beginning is a down Florida State team. I think Missouri, especially when you talk about Cook and Luther Burden and Mookie Cooper, I think this Missouri team is really good. I think they are going to quickly knock Boston College out of the top 25. This is one of the games that I think they're going to win pretty handily. I wouldn't be surprised if this is in a 17, 20-point differential in the two teams. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, they're a 14.5-point favorite. I hope it's a good game. I think that it could be. I think Boston College has a really good defense. They play a physical brand of football. I still have question marks about Missouri. Personally, I just don't know if they can be consistent. Can BC have a passing game? Yeah, I mean, they have Thomas Castellanos. Obviously, he's a mobile,
is nice.
Yeah, dual threat quarterback. I don't know how good of a quarterback he is. I only really saw him in the one game against Florida State. He looked decent. But I think Boston College doesn't really need to have a passing game to win this game. I mean, if they can play how they played against.
You're picking Boston College?
No, I'm picking Missouri, but I'm just responding to his question. I don't think they need a passing game to be able to win this game. I think if they play the same style of play against Florida State, they could still have a chance to win the game. They're a 2-touchdown underdog, which obviously means that it's a pretty hefty margin. But I probably have Missouri about covering that. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be super close, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boston College kept it close just because they looked good last week against Duquesne, and then obviously they looked good against Florida State in week 1. So I'm sorry. Week 1.
And I said I don't think there. Well, I guess it was week 1 because week 0 was.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused for a second.
But Castellanos is legit. Now, all kudos. That guy, especially as a dual threat guy, he looks legit. I just don't think they are a top 25 team yet.
Next game, the Civil War, Oregon versus Oregon State. I'm going to come out and say this now. I think Oregon this week, they have to show that they are dominant. I think this week, if they have another game that's close, I think Oregon fans and media is going to start hitting the panic button on this team because we talked about this team. I talked about them being the Big Ten champs, and I thought that they have a realistic shot to win it all. And if you play Idaho, Boise State, and Oregon State, and all of those games are going to come down to 10 points or less, then I don't think you have a big shot to beat a lot of teams in the Big Ten, or the playoffs. I think Dylan Gabriel was a match made in heaven for this team, but it's not really panning out. So it's going to come to, obviously it's on a road game. This is going to be in Corvallis against Oregon State. They're a 16-point favorite. I expect them to win by a lot. Now, I expected them to win by a lot against Idaho and Boise State as well. So we'll just have to see how it kind of pans out. But definitely, if they don't win by 3 possessions or more, then I think that it's time to hit the panic button on this team.
Yeah, this is just like you said, and I concur 100%. This is the week that Oregon has to show that they are one of the top 12 teams. This is a team that started the season, I think, ranked either third or fourth, and they've already dropped down to ninth. Just in two, and I don't want to say bad showings. A win's a win. I think Boise State is probably a little bit better than we're giving them credit for. But that defense has looked very porous. We talked about this last week, but Gentry running for almost 200 yards against you and I think Gentry is a top running back, but no way Gentry should be running for 200 yards against a Power 4 national championship contending team. With that, why do you say yo?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
might have been sent late or something. I'm not sure.
The offense is looking good, but not great. They're putting up points, and Dylan Gabriel has been, I think, a match made in heaven. As we talk about a guy who's averaging 300 yards a game, has very few even incompletions, but it just doesn't look like it's all popping. Now, I think they had a lot more talent on the outside last year with Franklin, and again, we know all the names. So something just doesn't look like it's clicking all the way. And again, kind of to Steven's point last week, maybe on the other side of the transfer portal, we're seeing a little bit of the ramifications of getting a quarterback out of the transfer portal. Maybe it looks like their chemistry is a little bit off. I suspect as we continue to go through weeks, Oregon's going to get stronger and better. Or what we're going to find out this week is this is maybe a team that we rated a little bit too highly.
I agree. The other game that I don't really want to spend too much time on is the Miami versus Ball State. I think Miami's going to beat them pretty bad. They're at home. I think Cam Ward's going to have another stat game. After this Ball State game, I think they start conference play. They do. They play South Florida next week. So they play South Florida and then they play Virginia Tech. So, I don't really have much to say about that game.
Yeah, not much to say. I think this is a game that Cam Ward continues to try to put up numbers. They keep him in the Heisman conversation late into the year, right? I think he knows that these are the type of games where I need to put up numbers. I think Miami beats Ball State pretty handily.
How do you feel about the Tulane-Oklahoma game?
So I want to see something out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's time.
We got to roll.
Bear with me, anybody who's in here. Okay, no, we're good. My son was waking up, so that's why.
Okay,
go ahead.
You're good. Listen. Be it. Dad is a priority number one. You know what I'm saying?
He's up, all right.
Huh? I mean, do you need to go?
He's like wiggling around.
If you gotta go, you gotta go.
Okay, go ahead and give your take on Tulane, Oklahoma. Because I'm gonna take him out to the living room really quick.
All right, Tulane gave Kansas State a heck of a game. I think they have the potential to. This is one of those games. Hey, crew. Y'all see my grandson? And that boy is up. Tulane has the potential to beat Oklahoma. I think this team has a lot of talent. I think this is a pretty good team. I want to see Jackson Arnold really kind of take off. Out of 2 games so far, only 315 yards passing. That's about 150 yards per game. We obviously need to see way more than that. This is a 5-star guy who came in that we expected big things from. That passing game at Oklahoma has not looked great yet. Deion Burks, their leading receiver, is, I think, under 100 yards at 89 yards so far this season. If they don't come to play their A game against Tulane, and again, Tulane just gave Kansas State a heck of a game. If they don't come to play their A game against Tulane, this is the game that I kind of got on upset watch. I would not be shocked if Tulane beat Oklahoma. Now, I'm going to pick Oklahoma, but I would be shocked if Tulane beat Oklahoma. I think this is a very good Tulane team. They played Kansas State very close, and they can beat Oklahoma, who has not yet this season looked great. Like I said, Jackson Arnold, only 315 yards passing so far this season. What's your thoughts, Stephen? I know you missed half of what I said, but.
Well, I kind of got the gist of it when you finished. I think Oklahoma's going to win this game. I think being at home is going to play a factor. 2 touchdown favorites. I do think Tulane is pretty good, but I think Oklahoma is a far better team than Kansas State. Personally, I think they have a better defense. Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in college football. I think that's going to show. I don't know how good the offense is going to look. for Oklahoma, but I do know that they bring the defense side of the football every time they play, and I think that's going to have trouble or bring trouble to Tulane, especially on the road in Norman. So I have Oklahoma winning.
Okay.
Notre Dame Purdue. This game is kind of tricky. The reason why it's tricky is because I feel like Notre Dame has a taste in their mouth, like, dang, we just lost. They're only a touchdown favorite over Purdue. That, to me, is kind of crazy. I think if they would have won last week, they'd be a 17-point favorite right now.
Yeah.
So I'm personally making a bet for them to cover, Notre Dame to cover that. I mean, the fact that they're only a touchdown favorite is wild to me. I think they're going to look a lot better. I don't know how good Riley Leonard's going to look, but I think the defense is going to look good. I think Jeremiah Love is going to look good. And I think overall they're going to handle business on the road at Purdue.
Yeah, I want to go to one of the big points that, to me, you made, Jeremiah Love. I think what Notre Dame has to really lean into is, hey, we are a power run team, and we're going to win game in the trenches. I understand Riley Leonard is a quarterback that you want to give the ability to pass some, but I don't think that Notre Dame is built to be an air it out team. I think you have to lean on Jeremiah Love. He needs to be a 25 carries per game guy, and right now he only has 25 carries on the year. That has to be who they are. Teams like Purdue, you're going to have to beat them up in the trenches. You're not a 4 wide team. You're not an air it out team. Although I want Bo Collins to do well to win a bet. That's not who Notre Dame is. I hope that at the end of last week, they kind of figured that out. They kind of figured out that, hey, we're playing Northern Illinois, and the only time we're really moving the ball is when we give it to Jeremiah Love. So I think you're going to see that a lot this week. No knock to Purdue, because I think they're bigger, stronger in the middle, and that's where they're going to really lean on Purdue and run away with this game. And I think I hope Marcus Freeman and that offensive coordinator really make the shift for the rest of the season to making Notre Dame a power run team.
This game doesn't really interest me much, but the next game is the Utah State game. It's not so much about the game. How do you feel about Utah as a team? Like, I want to talk
about the Utah State Aggies, Clover Gang. I got to talk about them. Why are you putting your head down?
Nothing.
I got to talk about the Aggies, one of the greatest teams of all time. They had 2 losses early, but they came back last week and they beat JMU. They beat James Madison last week.
Bro, come on.
Half of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. No, Utah State is the team that I use in college football league that I'm in with Steven. But no, the concerning part for me with Utah is I know as we were going through the week last week, they looked really good early, but they did not look good late as that game continued last week. I don't think Utah State is the team that's going to give them a tough time.
Do you know why they didn't look good late?
Why did Rising get hurt?
Damn right he got hurt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That man gets hurt every game, bro.
Is he still out?
I don't know, but he hurt something with his hand, I think.
Okay, well, yeah, and I know in their week 1 game, they put up the difference when they play with Cam Rising and without Cam Rising, the difference in yards and points. That Baylor game where it looked like they were running away with it, again, they won that game by 11 points in the end. And 11 points, comfortable, whatever, but I think the score was like 23-0 at like the half. So this is a team that is only going to go as far as Cam Rising takes them, and Cam Rising is showing himself to be maybe a little bit injury prone. Again, I don't think they're going to lose to Utah State, but I do have concerns about them being even a Big 12 conference championship contender. I don't know that this is the team that I would pick, being so dependent on one player. But what's your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard. I think even without Cam Rising, I'd still probably favor them just because they have a good defense. And I haven't
talking about this week or in the Big 12?
In the Big 12. I just think they have a good defense. And I think defense is going to win you games, especially when the other teams in the Big 12 prove they can't play defense. Yeah. I think I'll put it this way. I think all the Big 12 teams have either an average or above average offense. But I think Utah has an average or below average offense, but the only
Yes.
difference is you flip it, and now it's the defense is elite for Utah, while the other defenses are not very good. So it's just going to come down to kind of situational. I think Utah is a veteran team. I think Utah has one of the best coaches in the Big 12 and Kyle Whittingham. Obviously, you have Gundy there as well. You have, I mean, if we want to call Dion a good coach, I don't really know, but you have other coaches like that.
Well,
But
no, let's talk about it. Do you think Dion's a good coach?
no, I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a good player.
He's a Hall of Fame player.
Well, I know, but I think that's where people get it confused. Is they think just because you're in the Hall of Fame playing football and you're a great football player that you can teach other people to be good football players. I don't think that's the case.
Let's give him credit for what he did. He did turn around Jackson State, and I'm not saying I know that's not a. Why are you looking at me crazy?
Okay, wait. I don't think he quote unquote turned them around. The reason why is because
they were a bad team when he got there.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't think Deion Sanders. I think let's say if Shannon Sharp or if Ray Lewis went to go coach there, it would have been the same. It would have been the same result. The reason being,
you're saying it wasn't his coaching. You're saying recruiting because
he recruited the best players. Well, literally the best player, but he recruited good players, and they didn't have the other teams he played didn't have that type of talent. So now we see him playing against teams that have equal or a little bit less talent, and he can't win. So I don't think he's a great coach. Now, when you go on college football and you make a coach and you can choose, his is motivator, bro. That's all he's good at. That's all he can do. He just can make him run through a wall we're going to win the game. If you don't block, your mom doesn't eat. All that sounds good. You didn't see him say that?
He really said that?
He said that
if you don't block, your mom doesn't eat.
Yeah, he said he told his offensive line, he said you got to think to yourself, if you don't make this block, your mom doesn't eat. And not only that, last week we talked about Sanders. Did you see Shedeur throw his offensive line under the bus after the game? That was terrible. He lost the Celebration Bowl games. I didn't watch it. So that was against whatever other team they played. Do you remember?
You're talking about at Jackson State.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
I know they went 11-0 in the regular season. I think they did lose
the final game. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Forget who it was. Also, he has actual coaches staff. The only reason why.
Yeah, I know he has Warren Sapp.
Why you name him? You only named him because you met him in Hawaii.
Warren Sapp's a Hall of Famer. Let's not act like.
Not Warren saying that. He is not a Hall of Fame coach. That doesn't mean just because you're in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean that you're a good coach.
I didn't say he was a good coach. I'm saying he's a Hall of Famer.
I'm tired of you saying that.
Not Warren Sapp.
No, but you're saying that like he's a great coach, though.
Okay, but he said he has.
Nick Saban ain't a damn Hall of Fame wide receiver, but he's a great coach.
He's a great.
Those are two different things.
I am not saying they're not. I'm not saying.
No, but you said. No, but Brandon said he has actual coaches, and the first person you named was Warren Sapp. He's not an actual coach. He has no coaching experience before this year, but he has got CTE.
So you don't think Warren Sapp can teach that defensive line how to get off, how to hand movement?
Let me ask you something. So, do you think Warren Sapp is the best defensive lineman of all time?
Defensive lineman of all time?
Just follow me with this. Yes.
No, I don't think he's the best defensive lineman.
Do you think Deion Sanders is the best corner of all time?
Yes.
And his ass ain't doing coaching. So what makes you think because he's a great defensive lineman that he's going to be a good coach?
You're saying he's not a coach. I'm sure he can tell them, he can teach them how to be good defensive linemen. I'm not saying great, but I'm sure he can give them techniques that allowed him to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but that don't mean nothing though. That doesn't mean
that's like something.
Usain Bolt can teach me how to be the fastest man alive. That's not how it works, bro. That is not how it works.
Okay, but I'm certain that Usain Bolt could be a good track coach. Now, maybe he's not going to be the best, but I'm sure he could be like, "Hey, these are some of the things I did to be successful."
But he can't make me an Olympian, bro.
Something's wrong with you.
I'm just keeping it a beam, man. Anyways, next game, Ole Miss Wake Forest. Don't really care about that game. He said, I think NFL players are good at camps, helping players techniques. At football, every player learns differently. No, I agree. I mean, I think it's not just about, oh, I'm good at something. I think Deion Sanders is a good motivator. That's what I said. Like, I think he's a good motivator. But when it comes to like schematics and stuff like that, I just
So you
don't
think
think
he's not a good X's and O's coach?
Yeah, I just don't. Like I say, he's a motivator. He's not a tactician.
This guy, bro, we're not playing college football 25. That's not real.
That is very real.
Oh my goodness, I'm done.
You're telling me there's different coaches. Okay. So you're telling me
what would you label Nick Saban as?
He's a hybrid. He's a CEO.
No,
they have that in the game.
They do have CEO, but you can't be everything.
Yes, you can. That's what the CEO is.
CEO is not everything.
No, but you can.
I can't build up
three.
every tree in that game.
No, you can't. So you can unlock every tree. Where are we going with this? But you can't get every little thing in the tree, correct?
Right. So what would you call, like, if you had to label?
So just one of the three?
Yeah, of the things, yes.
I would say he's a tactician.
But he's a top recruiter too.
He didn't start recruiting until after he won, though.
Okay.
And Deion is just like Brandon said, a transfer portal guru.
Not even a recruiting guru, not just a transfer portal guru.
But yeah, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, don't really care about this game. I think Jackson Dart has a big game. Do you think Georgia Kentucky is going to be decent or no?
No. I hope so. I'd like to see a little bit of resistance. But again, I think Kentucky's just too big, too strong. They're very, very good at the style of football that they play. I'd be surprised. And then Vandergriff hasn't looked great. If you've seen, he threw that ridiculous interception last week. So yeah, I'd be surprised if this game is within 21 points. What's the line on it?
22.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Georgia didn't cover.
The last two games are Nebraska, Northern Iowa. I don't really care about that one. And then Tennessee, Kent State. Don't care about that one either. Yeah. 1 second, I just got tagged with something. How do you feel about the Heisman race right now? Who would you say is your top three for the Heisman race?
Ooh. So I think I got to go Cam Ward. It's probably my favorite right now.
Your favorite for the Heisman?
Not my favorite. Like if the Heisman voting was today, he is not my favorite to win it overall. I think would be my he'd be in number one pole position for me right now.
Okay.
Shoot. I think you got to have McMillan in there. Okay. I know from the wide receiver spot, but he had a crazy game. I am not necessarily on the Travis Hunter train, although I think he's played very well.
I'm not anymore either after they lost.
I don't think I have him in my top three.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to
my
say.
Top three.
Oh, Gentry. I didn't think about. Yeah, he's probably in there. Yeah, it's hard for me to say some other because there are other players that I think just haven't had the opportunity to play great. I've liked what Will Howard has done so far. But again, he hasn't
Quinn Ewers.
Huh?
Quinn Ewers?
Quinn Ewers is probably my third right now. Yeah, so if I had to go three, I'm probably going right now Cam, McMillan, and then Quinn.
Yeah, my top three right now are Genty, no order. Genty,
yeah,
Quinn Ewers, and probably Jackson Dart.
Oh yeah. My only problem with Jackson Dart is they've literally played nobody so far.
Yeah.
Now he's put up ridiculous numbers, but
yeah,
I needed to be against somebody.
Those would be my three. Yeah, I mean those are all the ranked games. There are
Miller Moss. Miller Moss probably in that conversation. That's probably 4 or 5 with me. No, you're not fucking with Miller Moss?
I would take probably Carson Beck over him. I'd probably take who else is in the top 10? Will Howard's in that conversation with Miller Moss then, if that's the case.
Miller Moss to me just has a bigger win.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the LSU win is big. I don't really know. I just don't know how good that team is going to end up being. That's why. The other game that I do want to talk about is 1 second. Texas A&M, Florida. Obviously, we talked about it immediately when Brandon showed up. Who do you have winning that game?
I mean, I'm going to go Texas A&M. I like what I saw out of Lagway last week.
Yeah,
but
I like Florida in this game because of that.
Huh?
I like Florida in that game because
of that. Florida? Okay. But I think Texas A&M just somebody was hiking down there. It scared the shit out of me.
Huh?
Here, I'm on the beach. I don't know if you can see that guy down there.
Oh.
Yeah,
when you said hiking, I thought you meant like it was a center.
Hiking no. But yeah, I think Texas A&M is just a. Have I? Yeah, I have. I went to the game either last year or 2 years ago. Florida against Vanderbilt. Swamp is pretty fun. Pretty good time. You got to learn the words to "We Won't Back Down" because they sing it going into the fourth quarter. But yeah, I got Texas A&M winning it. I think it'll be a good game. I want to see Lagway against a very good team. Again, top talent guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if Florida won. But I'd pick Texas A&M if I had to, gun to my head, had to pick one of these two.
Yeah, I like Florida in this game. I think both these teams are kind of mediocre. I think they're both like average in the SEC. I like the fact that Florida has home field advantage. I think Lagway looked really good last week. I think they're going to lean on the ground game and then open up the pass. I think and this is just me not being petty, but this may be me just kind of looking at it from a different lens. But I think if Notre Dame and Riley Leonard were to go into A&M and win, then I think Florida can win at home against them. That's just the way I kind of break it down. I don't think Florida's a great team, but I don't think A&M is a great team either. So I expect this game to be competitive. I think it's going to be one of the better games. I think A&M lost their running back preseason and Connor out, so I like Florida. The last game I want to talk about before we get out of here, like I said, it's going to be a quicker show, but is the UCF TCU game. How do you feel about that one? It's at TCU.
Yeah.
2-point favorite for TCU, by the way.
Yeah, I'd probably lean TCU. I'd have to lean TCU. And I think this is more probably historically based. Obviously being in that conference and having been in that conference for a while. No disrespect to UCF. I'd go TCU just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think UCF's going to win this game, actually.
Really?
I'm not comfortable enough betting on it, and it could just be me just wanting them to win. But I think RJ Harvey's a really good running back. Obviously, KJ Jefferson comes over from Arkansas. I just think that this game is like a 50-50 game, and if UCF is able to win this game and move on to 3-0, I think they crack the top 25 next week, and I think they're able to kind of get the confidence as they move into conference play in the Big 12. So I would like to see UCF have success in the Big 12 this season. Obviously, I like Utah above everyone else. TCU's only because they have home. Both teams look good. I think this is going to be one of the better games.
Both 2-0. Like Jefferson hasn't really. Last year, I thought he was going to really pop. He didn't really pop last year when he was at Arkansas. He hasn't popped this year. You say you weren't feeling him last year?
I wasn't. That team was terrible, bro.
But he hasn't popped this year either. I mean, you're talking about 333 yards passing. I'm not seeing what I thought we would see from him, a real dual threat quarterback with a guy who really has a potential to throw for 2,500, 3,000 yards, rush for 1,000. I don't think we've really seen that. I don't think we've seen him progress as a passer. And so that's kind of my concerns with UCF and where I lean a little bit more towards TCU. Josh Hoover has looked really good. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's at 310 yards per game. So passing the ball, Josh Hoover has looked much better than KJ Jefferson. And I didn't even know who Josh Hoover was going into this season. What are you looking at?
I got a weird text. There's a number I don't know. But I nothing. I'll tell you.
You got to text him back something funny.
No, because I think I know who it is. That's why I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
But I like UCF in this game. I hope they win. But that's going to wrap up today's show. Just a quick 40-minute show. Obviously, there wasn't many games to talk about.
Yeah, I think next week we start to get back into the meat of things.
Yeah, next week will be fun. We'll obviously be able to talk more about conference games and maybe a little bit more Heisman contenders and stuff like that. We're going to be going live on Sunday probably 7 or 8 Eastern, give or take, right around
Well,
there.
I think that time right between the final NFL games and before
Yeah.
the night game was a perfect little window pocket.
Yeah, so we hope to see you guys there. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. And we'll see you guys on Sunday during the live.